Alright everybody, hello and welcome as always. I'm Sean. This is In The Mixer, episode 3 of our One Season Wonder series with the England national side at the moment, and a massive episode. I know I say that at the start of all of our episodes regardless of the series, but today we're going to be playing in the World Cup. Our first opportunity to win it. We will get another chance, but first and foremost, fuck FIFA and fuck the Qatar World Cup. If we have to go there, we're definitely going to try and win it and bring that trophy home and put some sort of good into what is a pretty horrific tournament, all things outstanding. We've got a tremendous amount to recap, the whole qualification period, whole European Nations League. So let's not waste too much time. This will probably be like a marathon episode similar to the Euros in yesterday's episode. So let's get stuck straight into it. Now, as you guys can see here, it is not actually the start of the World Cup just yet. That's not until November. We're at a random date in April because today, for the first time, the draw for the World Cup is taking place. We're going to do that first before we kind of do like a fast forward ahead and get to those actual games. But first, we should recap where we've been at and how we've been doing over the last couple of years. You can see here, early 2022, doing quite fine. We won our first two friendlies of the year so far. And since that last episode, we, of course, won the Euros 3-1 wins against France. We did have a European League Division A Group 2. We are in the top division, which consisted of France, Denmark, Croatia, and ourselves. We did okay, not horribly. We just started a little bit slow. Probably had a bit of a Euro hangover. Denmark beat us. France beat us as well. We did have some convincing wins though, beat Croatia 5-2 and 5-0 respectively. We did get revenge on Denmark for that early 3-1 defeat with a 6-0 victory. We finished second in the group. Only the top 10 goes through. France actually went through top of the division, which was more than fair. They were very good. We then beat Iceland 5-1 in a friendly to close out 2020 as a year. A very successful period. You can see here Ben Chilwell got sent off in the first minute. Straight red card for a vicious challenge. But otherwise, 2020, a very, very good year. Not quite, I guess we won a trophy, so probably better than 2021. But we had a phenomenal run in 2021 as well. We scored 47 goals, I think, and didn't concede any in our World Cup qualification campaign. We won every single game, albeit it was a relatively easy group. I do have to admit that. Had the likes of Georgia, Moldova, Turkey and Bosnia were the two main threats to us. Lithuania also in there as well. We beat them both convincingly away and at home. The team has kind of changed a little bit and is gelling together quite nicely. Our World Cup squad will be a tiny little bit different. No massive changes to the overall group that we're trying to work with all the way through. Just a couple of different players in our starting more than a couple of the other players in the squad, but I'll show you those details in a moment. And of course, that successful qualification campaign puts us at top of our pots, top of our seeds. We've already lined up some friendlies for before the European League. We've also lined up some friendlies for before the World Cup. This episode, of course, focusing on the World Cup. I don't care about the European League at all. But no time to waste. Let's go and have a look at the draw. We will quickly have a quick look at the top seeds. It's ourselves, Argentina, Brazil, France. Qatar obviously is the host, Belgium and Spain. We're currently second in the world. If we go look at our projection for world rankings as they've come out each month, we were, I think, fifth when we took over. Kind of fluctuated between fourth and fifth for a little bit. Our Euro campaign pushed us up to third, and then we have now leapfrogged Brazil as well into second spot. Still behind France. They're still just ahead of us, but if we have a good World Cup campaign and they don't, I think we could potentially finish as the top-ranked side in the world. Worth noting, Harry Kane became the all-time top goal scorer for England. He's got 59 goals and 72 caps. Interestingly, he's also moved to Man City. That's probably a good point to segue into how the squad looks at the moment. We've made two real changes. Lewis Cook has been good for us, but he moved to Wolves and he just hasn't been playing. I think he made 31 appearances in the Premier Division last year, but he's still behind Moutinho and Ruben Neves, it feels like, in their lineup and how often they're playing and getting substituted and whatever else. So he's plateaued a little bit and still isn't playing European football. Declan Rice has come in because West Ham have been performing incredibly well, and he's been doing quite well in that deep line playmaker defender role. He's also relatively suited to excellent tackling, can play at centre back as well, so he's kind of set up as a more defensive player. He's been doing quite well, and he's been the main person that's come into the squad and also moved into a starting position alongside Mason Mount, who has been excellent for the last 12 months for us. He's kind of taken James Maddison's starting role as that Messiah alongside the defensive midfielder, doing very, very well from a deep position. You can see at 23 now, he's pretty much at his ceiling in terms of potential ability, but a 3-star current ability player, doing very, very well for us and giving us a solid base at midfield. As far as the wingers are concerned, Raheem Sterling, the effects of age, 27 now, he has dropped off a little bit in terms of star rating, still elite at a world level, but Jadon Sancho and Rashford are starting on either wing for us, and Phil Foden starting at the number 10 in place of Dele Alli, who again, more than capable. They're very similar in terms of current ability. I just think Phil Foden has a higher ceiling. He's still only 21, so you want to try and give him a platform to succeed. Otherwise, the lineup is relatively the same as the one that we used in the Euros. Dean Henderson cemented himself as the first choice goalkeeper, 3.5-star current ability and potential, playing at Man United at the moment, which is great to see. Ben Chilwell also moved to Liverpool, so 3 of our Liverpool's back 4 make up the England national team's defence. Jadon Sancho, interestingly, still at Borussia Dortmund, 3 years down the track. Mason Greenwood in the squad, he's on loan at Olympique Marseille. Max Aarons hasn't left Norwich yet. Karamoko Dembele I've brought in on as a backup on the right-hand side. He's doing quite well. Bellingham's still at Birmingham, still only 18 years of age somehow. And there's a couple of others in the national pool that have changed clubs as well. James Maddison's currently injured, but he's made the jump over to Arsenal, where he's currently playing. And I already mentioned Harry Kane moving to Manchester City. So a fair bit of movement for the national team squad, but they're all playing well, and the majority of them are playing for their club sides week in, week out, which of course has been great to see. Now, getting back to the draw, we're just going to set this to automatic and we're going to watch it play through. We should go in, I think it's either last or first based on the pot seedings. I think the lowest pot goes into each group first, and then we'll go in last. So you can see a lot of these groups populating here with some of the sides that have kind of squeezed through qualification, mainly teams out of countries or nations or regions that have playoffs. So the 3, I think, Asian representatives there, South Korea, Australia and Japan all getting through. Now, the second pot includes Scotland, who've done quite well to make the World Cup. They're in a very, very decent run of form, given their performance at the Euros as well. A few of the South American and African nations dropping in now. The 4th Asian team in Iran. And now it's some of the big hitters coming in. So Uruguay, Holland and Italy were all in that second pot. The US is in there as well. Colombia, Mexico, and rounding out that second last pot, Poland. And now comes the last 8 teams to draw. Qatar goes into Group A, of course, as the host. Argentina into Group B. Belgium into Group C, Brazil into Group D, England into Group E. So we're going to have a very, very interesting draw here. I think we should still get out of the group. Spain, Portugal, and I guess France round out the last of those groups as well. So we've been drawn against Austria, South Korea, and the US, which is not the most difficult group in the world. I would expect the US and South Korea to do quite well. Austria, they potentially have a lot of really wonderful young players that come through. I think Red Bull Salzburg has a wonderful academy in the actual game itself, but I think it might be too early for any of those younger players to really be pushing to the top of world football at the moment. Though they have got this guy here, Woba, who's been picked up by Manchester City and looks to be playing a little bit for them at the moment as well. He'll be an interesting one to keep an eye out on, but otherwise it's a very similar lineup to what they would be using right now in the real world. South Korea, always really difficult to tell with them. They've got some wonderful young players that are excellent. 10 seasons into a save, like Lee Kang-yin from Valencia. Son Heung-min, of course. Hwang Hee-chan at Red Bull Salzburg. So they've got some good players, but we should have enough to get beyond them. And then the US, of course, always a little bit of a smoky as to how they're going to line up. Not many players from looks at it starting each week in European divisions at the moment. Josh Sargent at Werder Bremen might be the leading appearance maker so far for that national team in this real world season. So, it's a good draw for us. I think we're in a good position. Magic of editing, though, we're going to jump forward to the actual World Cup now and start with our group games. All right, so just like that, we are nearly 6 months further ahead of where we were at the moment, but we are at our first game. We're playing in the following order. Austria up first, US is our second game, and South Korea as the final. If we win the first 2, we're going to rotate quite a bit for that South Korea game. If we do that rotation, I probably will skip that one, bringing it to you in this episode, as long as we are secured getting through to the knockout places. As far as the groups are concerned, there's some very interesting ones in here. I think this is a relatively weak group. You'd expect Uruguay and potentially Cameroon to get out of this one. Depends on how good Qatar actually are in the game. Group B, Argentina and Wales should get through, though Scotland did surprise everyone at the Euros. They may pull that out again at the World Cup. Ghana rounding out that one. Belgium and Holland should get it through at the expense of Nigeria and China. Brazil and Italy should get through at the expense of Greece and Iran. Our group, I think, is relatively straightforward. Spain and maybe Colombia will get through ahead of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Czech Republic. Portugal will probably top this group, and it's probably an even split between Australia, Mexico and Paraguay as to who goes through. Maybe Mexico are just the favourites, given the quality of some of the regen players they have come through, but I can't help but root for Australia at any point. France, Japan, Poland, and Senegal. It should be France and Poland that go through. If Japan and Senegal bring a surprise, it will be a very interesting one. Now, as far as the last few games have gone, we were undefeated in our European League season, which is fantastic, beating Bosnia, Czech Republic, and Poland during that time. Poland quite convincingly. I thought they'd be a little bit stronger than they actually were. We have now gone 24 games unbeaten since Wednesday, the 11th of November, 2020. which is both a consecutive wins record and a new unbeaten streak record for the English national side. As far as the squad is concerned, there's only one real change. I've left out Dele Alli, somewhat interestingly. And I brought in Giovanni Reyna, who I think is Claudio Reyna's son, born in England when he would have been playing up at Sunderland. He's still at Dortmund, still only 20. He looks to be a fantastic prospect in your own game world if you can pick him up. He's going to come in as like our backup number 10 behind Phil Foden. And at 20, it's a good time to give him that experience. He joins as the second wonder kid with Karamoko Dembele, who'll be our backup winger, really our fourth choice winger. We've still got Raheem Sterling on the bench not playing. The only injury concern at the moment is Harry Kane. He's been out for a few weeks with, I think, a twisted ankle. I'm not going to risk him in this first one. We might bring him into the game against the US and see how we do. Mason Greenwood will get the nod to lead the line in this first match against Austria, but otherwise it's a relatively strong lineup. As you can see here, Austria have a relatively strong lineup themselves. Lazaro here, their right back, playing at Inter Milan, looks to be a fairly solid option. Nothing spectacular, just fairly solid. Over on the other side, they've got David Alaba, who of course is their captain, Bayern Munich stalwart, that he is still playing first team football in that side. They've got Wober, who's at Man City now, alongside Posch at the back, who's still at Hoffenheim. In midfield, they're a little bit interesting. They've gone with Arnautovic on the left, and they've left out, from the entire squad it would seem, Marcel Sabitzer. He's actually injured, it turns out, a groin strain. He's out for 3 weeks, so they haven't risked trying to bring him in through the squad as well. Hans Wolf, I think, is the main danger man up top, still playing at Salzburg. Looks to be a decent shadow striker. They're playing him up front. And Gregoritsch will lead the line, who's playing at Augsburg over in Germany. So a good side. We're going to go with Henderson in goal, Stones and Gomez as the central defensive partnership. Stones is now the captain of the England squad as well, with Kane out. Chilwell and Alexander-Arnold as the two fullbacks, Declan Rice-Lanka as that defensive midfielder, Mason Mount alongside him, Phil Foden as the advanced playmaker, and Rashford and Sancho on the wings. Be a big ask for Greenwood, but I think he did well in the two build-up games that we had against Mexico and the US. I think he can do quite well. If we play our game, we'll win, and I'm going to also assertively tell the defence I have faith in you to make a difference. If we get a clean sheet, we're going to be well and truly on our way. Throw in here left-hand side, first highlight of this World Cup period, ball with Foden, squares it back to Rashford, who's got time to pick out the top corner and absolutely rifle that one in. It's taken us less than a minute, and hopefully this means we're going to get off to a better start than we did in the Euros in yesterday's episode. Throw in here from Chilwell works it quite well. Foden just waits for the defender to commit, finds Rashford, and they're very lax getting out to him. Gives him time just to pick out the right corner, smashes that one past the keeper who doesn't even move, and we take an early lead. We will keep kind of a wandering eye on other results, but there's a highlight here. Ball forward to Rashford, who already has one. He's got time and space ahead of him. Can get at the fullback here if he wants. He takes a step inside, goes for a drive from about 45 yards on the angle and straight at the goalkeeper. There are some big round one fixtures. Belgium plays Holland. Brazil plays Italy in their group. Colombia and Spain's also a massive one. Throwing here on the right, Lazaro into Gregoritsch. Deep ball across towards Arnautovic, who I think is still their main danger. Managed to recover though, and Greenwood's done very well to bring the ball down. Mason Mount has the overlapping fullback in Chilwell. Instead he resets through John Stones. Ball played into Foden in a nice little half space. He looks for the switch out towards Sancho, if he can keep the ball in. Good ball towards front stick, and Mason Greenwood, his first World Cup appearance, and I think only his second start, it'll be third or fourth start for the England squad. A wonderful near post run there and a flick on header to give us a 2-goal advantage with 24 minutes played on the clock. Good work here from Sancho. You thought maybe he might try and beat the man, but Greenwood, wonderful little run in there in front of the defender. And again, the keeper not quite equal to it. Does make a dive, just sticks his arms out and lets that one beat him at the near post. Got a highlight here again, pretty much straight after. Stones to take the throw in, which we don't want. It should be Chilwell taking the throws. Foden looks for the strike from the wide area, but just beyond the far post. Alexander-Arnold recovers the ball in a good area here. He's got space in front of him if he can get beyond the defender. It's Alaba, though, who's got a fair bit of pace. Plays it all the way back through the goalkeeper. Gregoritsch brings it down midfield, and then they've gone for a ball over the top to Arnautovic, who thankfully his drive from the edge of the area well wide of far post. 10 minutes remain in the half. We're going to use our demand more shout just to give everyone some focus through to half time. 2 minutes to be added on. We're through that now. So at half time, 2-0 up. We've had 8 shots, 5 on target, 49% possession. Great to see. We probably need to pick our position up just a little bit. Assertively, very pleased with the performance. So let's keep it going. You can see they're playing a flatter 4-4-2. I think Arnautovic has pushed pretty far forward as a left winger as well. So there's definitely still a danger of the ball over the top. US is beating Korea in the other group game, which would mean, well, it doesn't mean a tremendous amount because we've still got to beat both sides. We're through an hour now. I'm going to make our subs and we're going to go based on conditioning rather than actual fitness or match rating at the moment. Rashford struggling a little bit. We might bring on Sterling, play him as an advanced forward. Alexander-Arnold, we need him to get through quite a few games, so we're going to give Max Aaron some time at right back. And then the other one struggling is Sancho. So we're going to give Dembele his debut at a World Cup level and see how he gets on. And it might be a little bit presumptuous to make 3 subs with 20 minutes remaining, but I do want to try and remain conscious of everybody's conditioning throughout the competition. That was probably the big lesson learned from the Euros. Henderson with a goal kick here. Haven't had as many highlights here in the second half. It's stagnated for both sides. Max Aarons with his first contribution. Finds Rice inside. Switches on if we find it. We've looked out towards Sterling now. He does quite well to knock it down to Mason Mount. Dribbles forward. Now finds Foden. Reverse pass at the edge of the area. Wonderful strike from Phil Foden. He has been a wonderful goal scorer over the last 12 months or so. And it's a good finish. The keeper did get something on it. We'll check it out in 3 dimensions to see how much venom was actually on the strike. Sterling did quite well there to knock down the header. And then Mount does very well to drag the midfielder, play the ball to Foden, just skips past one challenge, gets to the edge of the area, wraps his left foot around it, and Pence can get a foot on it, or get a hand on it, I should say, but doesn't have the necessary strength to get it out and around the post. We're going to demand more for the last 10 minutes here. Let's just focus on consolidating our lead or keeping our clean sheet. Raheem Sterling loses out in the challenge, Posh with a long ball forward. Max Aarons again, who's been in a couple of highlights now since he's come on, plays it forward to Dembele. Foden looks over the left for Sterling, who's gotten goal side, and he's found a finish from an impossible angle. It is going to be a massive benefit to us in the later stages of this competition to have Raheem Sterling there and available to bring off the bench and to just pick out not just finishes like that, but his pace just gets him in behind tired defences. Wonderful ball from Foden, and Sterling does quite well. He doesn't have much of an angle to aim at. The keeper has not had a great game, I'm not going to lie, but a 4-0 advantage in the first game of the group stage definitely gives us a good platform to succeed in the next 2 games and hopefully into the later stages as well. 3 minutes to be added on here. Deep free kick for Austria. Ball in towards Grealish, and he got the header. He got there first. Thankfully not on target, so the clean sheet remains intact. And the referee calls full time. It's a good 4-0 win to start off our World Cup campaign. 15 shots, 10 on target, 52% of the ball. And we're going to calmly say, good win, boys. Well done. Phil Foden gets the man of the match, a 9.3 match rating with 2 assists and a goal. A fantastic performance from him. I'll let my assistant do the post-match press conference. The next game is going to be against the US, who of course won their game against South Korea 1-0 as well. Oh no, 3-0 in the end. It must have ballooned out too. So magic betting, we're going to jump forward to that one now. So just like that, we're a couple of days ahead. I've made a couple of changes. I brought in Raheem Sterling on the right for Jadon Sancho, who was about 86 current or conditioning. I don't want to risk him, and potentially if we win this game, we might rotate and play all of our backup players in the next one. I also haven't risked Harry Kane. I want to try and unleash him in the last game of the group. Going to do the same thing for Alexander-Arnold as well. Bring in Max Aarons, who can do pretty much the same role at right back there. Maddison will come in midfield for Mason Mount, but otherwise it is unchanged. They're playing like a 5-3-2, which looks to just basically get the ball forward as quickly as possible to Timothy Way, Josh Sargent, who we did kind of do a brief preview of, the only one really playing week in, week out in the European division, and Pulisic, who they're using as a number 10 in this one. Serginho Dest, one of the best young wonder kids in the game. If you pick him up early in your save, he's going to play as a right wing back. It would be interesting to see how they utilise those 2 wide players. Assertively, I'm just going to say I want you to pick up where you left off last time out, and a good result here. We beat the USA prior to the Euros 6-0, and we beat them a couple of weeks ago 2-1 in the warm-up games to this World Cup. They have got the ball here. Henderson does out well to come out and claim. If we can get a good performance, on the right-hand side, if we can find him earlier, Raheem Sterling had nobody near him. Send it out that way now. He's gotten goal side, squares it up for Greenwood, and it's a wonderful finish. I think it's going to be ruled out for offside. Whether it's Sterling or Greenwood, I'm not sure. They've gone to look at VAR and ruled it out, but a wonderful little counter-attack there. Throw in here, left-hand side. Chilwell takes and gets the ball back from Rashford. Plays all the way back through Stones, now into Declan Rice. We can work it out to the right-hand side here. Again, we've gone for Sterling in behind, and he's done quite well. Squares it up. Greenwood was there, but a wonderful save from Zach Steffen in the US goal, who I'm not sure in real life, but in the game world is currently at Man City as one of their backup goalkeepers. Resulting corner, Greenwood gets a flick on header, but well over the crossbar. Chilwell, deep free kick, resets through Stones. Now into midfield to Declan Rice. We'll look over the top there for Rashford, who knocks it down quite well to Ben Chilwell, who overlaps now. Deep ball towards back stick, and Sterling gets there first. He's been busy in the first 20 minutes or so, and he's gotten a goal for his reward and to kind of help us out in this start today. Wonderful ball from Ben Chilwell. He's done quite well as an overlapping fullback. And I find even a wingback set to a defend duty still gets into good positions and hits good crosses from those sort of half spaces. And a wonderful finish inside of the right foot from Sterling into the side netting. Keeper could do nothing about it. And we take a 1-goal advantage in the first half. Free kick from distance here. It's going to be taken by James Maddison. Hooked back post. There were players in there. Stones recovers and plays it to Rashford, who gets the strike away. And it wasn't moving at a tremendous amount of pace. but just beyond the far post. We'll highlight here, we're about to use our demand more shout. Stefan resets from the goal kick. Now to Garrett, all the way back to Stefan again. Tell you what, their three central defenders are giving us so much space in wide areas. They're very, very narrow. Ball out wide now to Adams, who sends it in behind for McKennie, who has gotten goal side, and Henderson does quite well to save and hold. First real highlight we've seen from the US side. We're going to demand more. 10 minutes remain in the first half. If we can maintain our lead into half time, we'll be in a good position. Chilwell's recovered possession here. Looks to send Rashford into a wide area. He drags one centre back, plays a square ball to Foden, who sends Greenwood goal side, gets the strike away, rebound falls to Rashford, loses out to Dest, and the highlight comes to an end. So this back three, they can be gotten at. Assertive, I just want to say, don't get complacent out there. This is probably our biggest game of the group stage. If we get 3 points here, we can rotate quite a bit going into the last match and hopefully rest everybody heading into the first knockout game. Thrown here right-hand side for the US. Played to Dest, into Heinemann. Ball over the top for Way, who does quite well to peel off the shoulder, and Henderson again with a good save. Tactically, we're going to switch from our attacking structure, which is what we've been playing for pretty much last year, back to our positive mentality, and we're just going to go based on conditioning rather than match rating again. Rashford's struggling a little bit. We might bring on Jadon Sancho, as let's switch him as well with Raheem Sterling, see if he can get a bit more joy out of the other side, and the fresh legs will hopefully keep Serginho Dest a little bit busy. Foden struggling for match rating as well. We're going to bring on Giovanni Reina. He spent some of his developing years in the US. It'd be an interesting one to see how he goes against them. And then last one, I'm going to give Ben Chilwell some time on the bench. Ryan Sessegnon will come on for him. Passionately have faith in you guys to make a difference. And let's also use... Oh, hold on. Rice has just gotten injured a minute after we made those subs. So let's still bring on Sancho for Rashford. But let's make that one change. Declan Rice will come off instead of Chilwell, which isn't ideal for the left back, but we will rotate him out in the next game. I have faith in you, get out there and make a difference. Thankfully, that happened before the subs were done. Otherwise, I would have been furious if we made 3 subs and immediately picked up an injury. And hopefully that's nothing serious, and Declan Rice is still available for the rest of the World Cup. Into the last 10 minutes now, we're going to use that demand more shout. We have dropped off a little bit, but we haven't seen any further highlights from the US side either. We just seem to be managing the game quite well. Highlight here, ball forward, Sancho knocks it down to Reina. Reverse pass towards Greenwood. Definitely the two future players there at number 10 and number 9 for the England national side. 5 minutes to be added on here. Is there going to be any late drama in this one? Through that time now, and the referee calls full time. It's a good 1-0 win, 14 shots, 5 on target, 55% possession. Ben Chilwell, 7.4 match rating, gets the player of the match. Assertively, well done lads, that was a good win for us. And 2 victories from our opening 2 games definitely puts us in pole position to get out of the group on top of the division. Oh no, Sterling, got man of the match, a 7.4 match rating for his early goal. Assistant can do that. We've qualified for the second round, which is fantastic. That game in hand means we can rotate quite a bit. So effectively what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everybody out and clear this. I'm going to play Jordan Pickford in the next one. Max Aarons can start at right back. Tamori and Twanzebe can fill in at centre of defence. And Sessegnon will play at left back. Lewis Cook was going to come in anyway, but Declan Rice looks like he's going to be out for about 7 days. Potentially still has time to make a mark on the World Cup. We'll play with Maddison at the base of midfield. We'll go Raheem Sterling. No, we'll go Dembele on the right. Reina at the 10 and Sterling at the left wing. Mason Greenwood or Harry Kane. Let's go with Harry Kane. Let's try and get a half out of him. And I'm not going to put everybody on the bench. I'm just going to put backups. So Ramsdale can go on the bench. We might go with Stones, who seems to be travelling all right. Alexander-Arnold can go on there. Mason Mount can go on there. Sancho can go on there because he can play on both sides, and Greenwood as the backup striker. The rest, Rashford, Rice, Foden, Gomez, Henderson and Chilwell, I'm not even going to pick them and put them on the bench in the hope that they will get some of their conditioning back. And what I'm actually going to do is going to switch Joe Gomez with Alexander-Arnold, and hopefully both our fullbacks, Alexander-Arnold and Chilwell, will do with the additional rest out of that game. Magic betting, we're going to jump forward now and have a look at the draw for the group stages to see who we're potentially going to play in the first knockout round. I'll give you the result of South Korea in a moment as well. All right, so we have finished top of the group. It was a struggle. We were 1-0 down at halftime. They got a very early goal, but we managed to come back in the second half, score 3 unanswered goals. Twanzebe got 2 of them from set pieces, so I think he goes relatively high and the leading scorer for the competition. Standings, we will play Colombia in the next round, which I think is a winnable game. They finished second in their group. We managed to rotate quite a bit, still get the 3 points, still finish undefeated, and our winning streak continues in the England squad. As far as the other groups are concerned, Uruguay and Cameroon got through, which is to be expected. Argentina and Scotland got out. Wales and Ghana crash out. Wales, of course, have been fantastic over the last few years, but Scotland at the moment in this universe are playing particularly well. Holland and Belgium get out of their group. Brazil and Italy, which was to be expected. Spain and Colombia, which was to be expected. Portugal and Paraguay get it out. The Socceroos, unfortunately, finish third and go home. And France and Poland getting out of their group quite convincingly. France absolutely smashed Poland in the first game, but Poland did enough, beating Senegal and Japan to get out of the group itself. It gives some interesting knockout ties. Holland-Italy is a big one. Belgium-Brazil is huge as well. Thankfully, we didn't finish second. We would have gone up against Spain in the knockout rounds, but quite a few different European sides in there. The two big ones from South America as well. Definitely still have it all to play for heading into the knockout stages. Magic of editing, we'll jump forward to the game against Colombia now. Right, so 2 changes for us. I've given Raheem Sterling a start on the right-hand side. He was our best player in the last match again and has been busy in a few of the games that we've played already. I've also brought in Lewis Cook. Declan Rice maybe could have gotten through this one. He's still kind of got that orange injury trait next to him. He's back in about 2 days. I don't want to risk it, so I've left him out of the squad entirely. Cook will play in midfield. Mount can do a job at deep line playmaker as well if we need it. Otherwise, I've left Pickford in goal accidentally after rotating, so Henderson drops to the bench, which isn't ideal. Not fantastic management from me. But Stones and Gomez as the central defenders, Chilwell and Alexander-Arnold as the fullbacks. Mount will play alongside Cook at the base of midfield. Foden comes back in at the 10. Sancho will play as the inverted winger on the left-hand side at the expense of Marcus Rashford. And Kane makes his second start, leading the line, wearing the armband up top. Colombia are doing whatever Colombia are doing. I'm skipping past it. We've got to cut some time somewhere. And let's carry on straight from where we finished the last game. Tuanzebe got a double in that one. He's unlucky to miss out. But if we get off to a good start here, I think we can rotate quite a bit in the second half as well. Ball in there. It's been headed back out. Jefferson Lerma from Bournemouth. Alvarez Balanta puts a ball in midfield, but Mount does quite well to win it back in traffic. Chilwell into Stones. Just fine feet, boys. No need to risk it. We go all the way back through to Jordan Pickford. Worth noting, Jordan Pickford has moved to Arsenal in the most recent transfer window. So, big move for him. He'll be playing Champions League football. Sterling with a good run there, and Ospina equal to it in the Colombian goal. Ooh, edge of the area here. Sterling's gone down under a challenge from Alvarez Balanta. He's been called over and he's been sent straight off. We have been incredibly fortunate both in the Euros and in the World Cup with red cards to opposition teams. Alexander-Arnold with the follow-up. What a wonderful free kick that is. We're going to check that one out in 3 dimensions. It's always an added layer of quality to it when it just clips the inside of the post as it heads in. And we've immediately made 10-man play. It's a wonderful free kick. Keeper doesn't even move. Clips the inside of the crossbar on that weak side. And the wall couldn't even do anything about it. It just whipped around them at pace. Goal kick now. It's been a long one forward. Sterling was in the area, but thankfully the flick-on header is going to get tidied up by Alexander-Arnold in the back line here. Ball into Gomez. Ball forward to Raheem Sterling. It's worth noting that when I let the assistant put in his preferred lineup, Gomez wasn't starting. It was actually Fikayo Tomori. But so far, so good. Mount with a crossfield switch out towards Raheem Sterling. Deep ball back across towards back post. It knocks down by Sancho, and Mason Mount had the chance. But Ospina's a good goalkeeper, and he has done well to save and hold. Long ball forward here. Morelos has picked it up goal side. Someone's got to get close to him, and he's drive from about 20 yards, just over the crossbar. First shot and angle we've seen Colombia, and it was a highlight. Mason Mount, short corner here to Sancho. Played the ball back towards Cook at the top of the box, but it was a poor effort. The reset through Arias. Now Aguilar. Back to Ospina again. Long one forward towards Morelos. Similar scenario to where they picked up the ball last time for that last highlight. Morelos now on the left wing. Tries to cut inside. Gomez stands him up and flicks on a header towards Duvan Zapata, who's done quite well to get there first and flicks it back post for an equalising goal for Colombia. 10 men have found a way to equalise, albeit maybe not against the run of play, but definitely against the stat line that we've seen. Morelos does quite well here. Gomez commits to the ball, doesn't stop the cross coming in. Duvan Zapata just gets in front of, I think, Alexander-Arnold there, who tucked inside. Can't be mad at him for tucking inside. It's the right thing to do, but maybe defensively we need to mark a little bit more intelligently when it comes to their big target man. We're going to demand more for 10 minutes of the first half here. It's not the worst result in the world at 1-1, but we should be on top looking at the stat line that I can see in front of me here. Deep free kick for Colombia. Played into Cardona. Back to Fabra, the left back. Into midfield to Barrios. We're not tight enough in midfield. Aguilar plays the ball backwards now to Ospina, who's going to have to come out of his area. Harry Kane still working his way back from injury. Oh, Sterling with a wonderful interception and his 1v1. Can he find the finish? He can indeed, justifying the decision to actually start him in this one. It's a wonderful interception and a wonderful run forward. And he waits for the keeper to commit and then just finds the far corner. Does quite well. Lerma was the one, I think, calling for the ball. He might be playing at centre-back in this lineup. I know he's a midfielder for Bournemouth originally. But Sterling with a wonderful run, wonderful finish, and restores a 1-goal advantage heading into extra time of the first half. We're through that time now, 2-1 up. They are down to 10 men as well. 15 shots, 8 on target, 57% possession. we are going to say, I'm pleased with things how going, keep it up. At the moment, it looks like Harry Kane's really struggling to get back into some sort of form. Lewis Cook hasn't had a great game either. He did cough the ball up in the build-up for the first Colombian goal. Mount with a deep free kick here. First highlight of the second half. It's in the area, but it's going to come back out to Gomez. Switched out to Mason Mount, reverse pass to Sancho. John Stones has stayed forward for whatever reason. Who resets now through Cook, now Foden. Let's work a nice angle here, boys. Sancho beats a couple of challenges, gets the strike away, but it would never look like it was challenging the keeper. Through the hour mark now, I'm going to bring on Mason Greenwood for Harry Kane, just because I'm not trying to kill Harry Kane as he works his way back from injury. And the other two subs will do based on fitness. Sancho will come off for Rashford, who will move to the inside forward role. Sterling's also struggling for fitness, but I'm going to leave that last sub, I think, for the last few minutes. Lewis Cook isn't having the greatest game, but we'll give him some more time as well. I think Declan Rice will be back for the next match anyway. Passionately, I've got faith in those two, and we'll hold on to the last 10 minutes or so for that last sub. Going to also use Get Faithful, Get Creative shout after an hour. See if we can't push forward this advantage, get ourselves a 2-goal margin. Mason Mount, short corner routine to Sterling, put in towards Greenwood, who does quite well, gets a flick on header, but Ospina again, he's had a good game, saves and holds. So highlights continued here. It's a long ball forward to Gomez. Alexander-Arnold now to Foden. Raheem Sterling on the right-hand side. Cuts inside, beats one man, gets a strike away again, but Ospina again equal to it. 10 minutes remain. Going to use their demand more shout here. Statistically, we've been all over them. They are 10 men though. It does still feel like there's that danger for the ball over the top or the set piece. Speaking of, they've got one here. Santiago Arias back to Aguilar, the centre-back. Across to Yerry Mina, who's come off the bench. All the way back to Ospina in goal. Don't commit too high, guys. Just keep our line. Ospina, long ball forward. Alexander-Arnold should be able to bring it down unchallenged. Goes for the long ball over the top to Greenwood, who's gotten goal side. Can he find the finish? It wasn't a bad little effort. Did the hard parts well, controlled it phenomenally well, beat the man phenomenally well, but then put the strike straight at the Colombian goalkeeper. Long ball forward to Duvan Zapata, who brings it down. Tries to get the strike away. Clearance falls to Villa on the right-hand side, and they've found an equalising goal against the run of play. What can we do here? Let's go with Get Creative as soon as we can. It feels like that's against the run of play. 2 highlights that we've seen for them, and they've scored from both, really. No one challenges Zapata. His strike initially closed down by Gomez, but then the challenge is poor from Chilwell. And Villa, with, to be fair to him, a very good finish. Skips past one challenge, smashes it top corner. Would Dean Henderson have saved that one? Or are we potentially setting ourselves up for failure here? There's 4 minutes of additional time to be added on, and Colombia have the ball. Ball into midfield here, Campuzano. Now to James Rodriguez, who's been very quiet in this game. Sends a ball into the channel for Zapata to chase. He's gotten goal side too, and thankfully Stones has scrambled it off his line again. Shades of the game against Liverpool a couple of years back, but he's managed to keep it out after the mix-up with Pickford there. Wide free kick from Mason Mount. 3 minutes to be added on of additional time here. Gomez was there, but just over the crossbar. We're through the 4 minutes now, so this one's going to extra time. We do still have an additional sub up our sleeves as well. Passionately, I'm going to say it's time for everyone to dig in and show what you've got left. And who's struggling the most for match ratings? Pickford's been poor, so I'm going to make the unprecedented step of bringing on Dean Henderson. And let's see how we go, if that has any bearing on the last bit of the game. Statistically, though, we've been all over them. We've had 4 shots, 3 on target, and 2 goals for that return. It's a very efficient performance from their front three. So with no highlights for either side in the first half of extra time. Got some players really struggling for conditioning as well. Phil Foden down at 50%. They've got some guys similarly sitting around 50, 60% at the moment. Ospina resets. Rashford should get there first, and he's fresh off the bench. He should have the pace to get at the foot back line here. Doesn't beat the first man, squares it up towards Greenwood. Ball resets to the top of the area, and Raheem Sterling has been absolutely fantastic this World Cup campaign. Wasn't initially in my plans to be in the starting lineup, but he has pulled out another fantastic goal there to give us the 1-goal advantage with about 10 minutes of additional time remaining. Rashford did well, making the defensive line drop. Cook resets through Sterling, and it's a good strike. Ospina has been excellent all day, but couldn't really do anything about that one as it wriggles its way under him into the far corner. 1 additional minute to be added on here. We're through that now. Thankfully, the referee's called full time. It took extra time, which isn't going to do anything for our overall conditioning and fitness, but 39 shots, 19 on target, 55% possession, 4-3 and 45 for Colombia, though they did do very well with 10 men for most of the game. Calmly, a good win, boys. Well done. I'm not going to get down on anybody, even though we should really be beating sides like that in regulation. Belgium are out. Brazil have gone through on penalties. Argentina beat Cameroon after extra time. Holland and Italy have played out a stalemate with Italy going through on penalties. France continue to smash teams. Camavinga now playing in that lineup, winning against Paraguay 3-0. Portugal beat Poland 3-0. Spain beat the US 2-0. And Scotland have knocked out Uruguay in additional time. Scotland are just the story of this save at the moment, the way they are continuing to play incredibly well. Our assistant can take care of the post-match press conference. We are going to play France in the next game. Definitely just a rival that we're seeming to develop at the moment. It'll be a repeat of the Euro final. We're going to jump forward to that game now and have a look at the two lineups. Just like that, we're a few days ahead. We're pretty much going with the starting 11 that we would have thought at the start of the game. The only one's Raheem Sterling. I've got to keep picking him. He's been doing fantastically well. Foden thankfully gets back to around 90% fitness, which is great after picking up a knock in that last game as well. Declan Rice makes his way back into the first team as well, getting past his ankle injury. Henderson, of course, in goal. Stones and Gomez as a central defensive partnership. Chilwell and Alexander-Arnold. I almost don't need to say that back five. They're pretty much playing every game at the moment. Rice and Mount will anchor midfield. Foden will play at the 10. Sancho on the left wing. Sterling on the right. We haven't seen the best of Harry Kane yet. Hopefully he can find his scoring boots in this one. And it's a very strong-looking French lineup as well. Playing a 4-2-3-1, two defensive midfielders. Areola in goal. We've seen him play quite a few times in friendlies, but Lloris play in the cup competitions. Looks like he's nailed down the spot in the World Cup itself. Laporte and Varane as the central defensive partnership. Hernandez and Pavard as the fullbacks. Kante will anchor midfield alongside Pogba, who looks like he's playing as like a Segundo Volante, I think there. Ua, I think is how you pronounce that, or Oa. He plays at the 10, Dembele on the left wing, Mbappe on the right, and Griezmann up top. They have absolutely electric pace. Assertively, we're going to say, or passionately, we're going to say, let's give the fans something to cheer today. Everyone's responded positively to that, which is great to see. And what I really need is for Harry Kane to start scoring and playing to the best of his abilities. Otherwise, we're going to struggle through this one. France aren't going to give us the same opportunities that Colombia did, and if we concede two, I dare say we will be on our way home. Dembele on a great run here. He skips past a couple of challenges and gets the strike away. Henderson equal to it, pushes it around the post. Early doors, all France so far. Dembele's going to also take the resulting corner. Goes near post, Sancho with a good header away. Foden flicks it on towards Harry Kane. Is there a counter-attack here? We've got Sterling on the far side if we can find him. Kane heads towards the corner flag, but Kante is the best in the world at that, just drafting players towards wide areas. Gets it out for the throw. Deep free kick here, Gomez to take. Plays forward to Alexander-Arnold. Ball into the channel for Kane, who does quite well to bring it down in traffic. Looks back towards Foden. Switch out towards Sancho, knocks it down for Mount, who gets the strike away. It looked high from the moment he hit it. Couldn't get it back down towards the goal, but at least we're getting highlights, at least we're getting stats. Highlight here. Where is the ball? I can't see it anywhere. Deep free kick for Laporte. He's the one who's in possession. France just made a sub as well. Mbappe switched sides here, and he's gotten the strike near post. It was a wonderful strike, to be fair. We'll check that one out in 3 dimensions. He just skips past the fullback, who's Alexander-Arnold in this scenario. Look at these two midfielders just wandering across side by side. Mbappe turns him, gets a step inside, and it's a fair drive, absolute rapier effort towards near post, and Henderson can't get down in time to push that one out. So France have taken a lead. Got an immediate highlight here. Stones has recovered possession. He's burst forward into midfield. Play a pass, please, John. Don't do anything silly. He's lost out to Pogba, but he's going to recover the rebound. Foden plays the 1-2 with Mount. Now Declan Rice, back to Stones again. Now Foden. Sterling. Overlapping run here from Alexander-Arnold. Can he make amends for getting turned in the build-up to the French goal? It's a good strike. Areola equal to it, though. Pushes it out for the corner. Are we going to see any late drama here from the set piece? Mount's going to take the resulting corner. He goes short to Sancho, who can't beat the first man. It's so frustrating how often that happens in this set piece routine. Can he use our demand more shout? There's about 10 minutes remaining before the half. Everyone seems focused, which is good. If we can get an equalising goal, it's going to put us in a good position. But if it doesn't, I know what I'm doing in the second half. All right, we're through that now. So half-time, we've had 5 shots, 2 on target, 50% of the ball. Not a lot of difference between France with their 3 shots, 2 on target, 50%. But they are winning, which is the big one. Aggressively. Expect to see a much better showing from you in the second half. They all seem to have responded positively. The disappointing part is some of these half-time ratings. Got a few 6.5, 6.6s out there. Harry Kane struggling again. We'll give it 15 minutes before we look at making any subs. But in reality, we need to start picking ourselves up here and put the foot down in the second half. We haven't seen much of a response from anyone. We're through the hour mark now. We're going to go based on rating. Alexander-Arnold really struggling, so we'll bring on Max Aarons in terms of both fitness and his match rating. Harry Kane has struggled again, so Mason Greenwood comes on. And Sterling, I think the bubbles burst a little bit, so we're going to bring on Rashford, and we will switch Sancho over to the right wing. Rashford, of course, moving to the inside forward role as well. 3 subs, 30 minutes remaining to keep us in the World Cup. What can we do here? There's a highlight playing out at the moment. If they score here, it's going to be pretty much game over. Thankfully, poor ball forward. Stones, plays to Chilwell, reverse pass to Mount, finds Sancho on the left wing. Can we get a contribution from him before he switches sides? He beats Kante in the challenge. Squares it back to Foden. Deep ball towards back stick. Sterling was there. Poor clearance from Pogba. Declan Rice should recover. Gomez sends it out right to Raheem Sterling. This will be his last involvement in the game. Good looks near post to Harry Kane, who gets the strike away, but Areola equal to it. We're also going to use our Get Creative shout here an hour played. Few people seem inspired, which is good. What we need to do is find the back of the net, though. Deep goal kick to be taken by France here. They seem to have dropped off a little bit in terms of their structure. Hernandez has moved into midfield. Long ball forward towards Mbappe. It's a ball over the top. If you've got the pace, you've got to use it. And Mbappe, thankfully, his effort just beyond the on-rushing goalkeeper. Demand more here for the last 10 minutes. Can we try and find an equaliser? Will there be any late drama? We've got a corner. Mount to take. Stones is near post and his flick-on header just over the crossbar. Come on, boys. Surely we can find a little bit something deep in the locker here to keep us in this competition. 2 minutes to be added on. It's a highlight here. Long ball forward to Lacazette, who's come off the bench. Played back to Mbappe. It's just got electric pace. The way he just moves past people in this game is ridiculous. Hernandez with a strike from distance. It's closed down well by Gomez. Ball falls to Rashford, who's the fresh sub. Can he carry the ball at the defence? Kante with a wonderful challenge. Diallo, ball into midfield to Pogba. Now out left to Mbappe. About 45 seconds of additional time remaining. He skipped past a couple of challenges, squares it to Hernandez at the top of the box. He's hit the post, and then Chilwell scrambles it away. Come on, boys, get the ball. Let's see what we can do. See if we just put one over the top for Greenwood to chase. Everyone push forward. It's going to be taken by Diallo on the right-hand side here. About 10 seconds remaining of additional time. Pogba plays it back. We've got the throw in. Come on, boys, push on. Chilwell, a bit of urgency, and the referee's called full time. The World Cup dream comes to an end. We had 14 shots, 4 on target, 48% possession. France had 11 shots, 4 on target, 52% of the ball themselves. Mbappe's goal, enough to get them through. Assertively, not happy with the performance out there, but France are definitely turning into our main adversary so far in this save, in this series. Argentina have beat Italy 3-2 after extra time. They scored twice in additional time. Scotland have knocked out Brazil. Scotland, maybe I should have managed Scotland in this save. Spain have beaten Portugal 2-1 as well to give us the final four. We are going to jump forward a little bit now. We will go and have a look at who actually wins the semi-finals and who wins the World Cup, just to bring that to you guys as well. And if there are any end-of-tournament awards for any of the players. Mbappe got the Man of the Match award in that one, which is to be expected. My assistant could do the post-match press conference. I don't want to deal with it. It's interesting to think, what would have happened if we had drawn France later in the competition? Okay, so not where I said we jump forward to, but here's the weird part. Manager performance is an F. To summarise, the Football Association are bitterly disappointed with your management of the team. How are they not remembering we just won the Euros, like less than 12 months ago? Very disappointed with the team's performance in the World Cup. Disappointed about England's 1-0 World Cup quarterfinal defeat against France. Do they know how good France are? They're the best team in the world, according to the world rankings. Argentina have beat Scotland in third place playoffs. It's not showing me the fixtures and results, but it's going to be France versus Spain in the final. We might as well go and attend that game. We might as well watch it play out. All right, so looking at the two lineups, it's a slightly different shape and formation to the team that knocked us out for France. Areola, of course, in goal, Laporte and Umtiti as the central defensive partnership. They've dropped Rafael Varane for the final. Hernandez and Pavard as the fullbacks seem to be their default two at the moment. Kante and Camavinga comes back in at the expense of Pogba, who drops down to the bench. Dembele will play on the right this time, Mbappe on the left. As the 10 and Griezmann taking the captain's armband up top. Spain look relatively different to the Spain that we know from the last few seasons. De Gea, of course, in goal. Pau from Villarreal and Hermoso from Atletico Madrid are the central defensive partnership. No Sergio Ramos, which I guess he'd be about 35, 36 at this point in time. Grimaldo is the left fullback. Roberto plays on the right. Busquets is still playing and wearing captain's armband, anchoring midfield. Fabian from Napoli, who's a wonderful creative midfielder. If you pick him up in your own saves, plays alongside Koke in midfield. Oyarzabal will play on the left wing, who I think's moved to Chelsea in the game universe. He has indeed. Williams will play on the right, and Munir leads the line up top. They've got some big names on the bench. Ansu Fati, still not quite at the peak of his powers. Isco still playing. Saul still playing. Murata and Bernat still in the squad as well. Balaga, Kepa, let's just call him that. He's the backup goalkeeper. It'll be interesting to see how this could have gone differently. We haven't really come up against Spain in any of the competitions that we've played today. We've not been drawn against them at any point. France we've played about 6 times, it feels like. Laporte, deep free kick, played forward to Camavinga. Now Hernandez. Kante. You can see the distance between the French lines is just ridiculous. They're very happy just to punt a ball in the corner for Mbappe to chase, and when he can beat 3 men and hit the side netting like that, it's hard to blame them. Throw in right-hand side, Sergio Roberto plays Sergio. Good switch out towards Fabian on the left-hand side of midfield. They're definitely Spain freeing up their central midfield players to dribble a little bit more. Ball out to Grimaldo now. Back to Fabian. Now Oyarzabal. Grimaldo, good overlapping run. He stayed forward. He's got the ball again now. Finds Fabian. He gets the strike away and clips the post as it heads out for the goal kick. No further highlights in the first half, but very even. 6 shots, 3 on target for both sides, but Spain dominating possession with 60% of the ball. Definitely still utilising that tiki-taka style. Got a highlight here. First one in the second half, very early on. Ball out wide right to Mbappe, who switched sides in the second half. Gets the strike in, but De Gea equal to it, does well to hold. They must move Mbappe to the right-hand side once Lamar comes on at left wing. Lamar had some fantastic games against us over the last few years. They brought Pogba on at the 10, Lacazette up top. Just the one sub so far, sorry, as I say that. Ansu Fati and Paco Alcacer on for Spain. Both sides seeming struggling to get a foothold in this one. Spain's defensive line there is the highest match rating in the game. But most of the highlights we've seen have been for France. Mario Hermoso with a throw-in here. Centre-back committed very high up the pitch. They're 1v1 at the back if France win the ball back. Sergio, now left to Bernat, who's come off the bench as well. Fabian, edge of the area. He's had a good game, and this drive wasn't far away from that top corner either. Spain now having made their 3 subs as well, with Bernat replacing Grimaldo. 3 minutes of additional time here. We're through it now. So France had 10 shots, 5 on target, 37% possession, with probably more of the highlights than Spain. Spain, 11 shots, 5 on target, 63% of the ball. This World Cup final is going to extra time, and it's definitely been the case of the 2 defences at the moment. Hernandez to Camavinga, deep ball across towards Pau, good header away, but no one follows it up for Spain, so Kante will recover. Plays back inside. Kingsley Coman out wide right now to Hernandez. Deep ball across towards Lacazette, who just had to get that one on target, but it's just past the near post. All right, half-time of the World Cup final. 13 shots, 5 on target, 38% possession for France. They're coming back into a little bit here in the additional time. 11, 5 and 62 for Spain. But Spain, you can see here, a lot more 60% possession, condition type guys. Whereas France seem to have a little bit more in the tank. Definitely their subs are still sitting around 90%, which is probably a testament to how strong and how deep their squad actually is. And if we don't see a breakthrough here in the second half of additional time, this one will be going to penalties, which will be quite the grandstand finish. We're through that time now. No additional highlights in that second half. Let's check out how the penalties play out to decide the World Cup winners for 2022. Alcacer is going to take the first one for Spain. He does. Oh, it's not a good effort. It's saved quite well by Areola. Lamar's going to have the opportunity to score the first one for France. Give them an immediate advantage in the build-up. Again, saved. De Gea equal to it. Does well to dive to the right-hand side and push it around the far post. Ansu Fati, the substitution in the second half. He will get a chance here from the penalty spot. He does well. The first goal has been scored in the penalty shootout of the World Cup final. Pogba gets a chance to repeat early heroics in World Cup finals. Good effort. Sends it hard into the left-hand side. De Gea did guess the right way but couldn't get there in time. Meunier, who really struggled throughout the course of the game. I'm surprised he wasn't subbed. He's going to get the chance here, and it's a good penalty. Sends the keeper the wrong way for the 2-1 advantage to Spain. Lacazette, who had a wonderful chance in injury time, can he add to his total here? Who he does quite well. Maybe De Gea could have got to that one if he had guessed the side a little bit quicker, but it keeps parity at 2-2. Sergio Roberto for Spain had a decent game at right back. Oh, it's a slow pan. The keeper was moving quickly, but it does find a way to wriggle its way in there. Aymeric Laporte, still at Manchester City in the game world, tries to wrap his foot around again. De Gea guesses the right way and gets a little bit on that one, but can't keep it out. Busquets, the Spain captain, gets a chance to round out their 5 penalties, sends the keeper the wrong way. Areola dive into the left, the ball sent to the right. And Pavard is going to get the opportunity to try and keep France in this one. If he misses, Spain are the World Cup champions. If he finds the finish, Spain live to fight another round of penalties here. He's got a knock as well, not the ideal penalty taker for your final one for the French national side. And can he find the finish? He did quite well, actually. Blasted that one top corner, sent the keeper the wrong way. Juan Bernat is going to take the next one for Spain to give them an advantage and put the pressure back on France. Oh, it's not a good penalty again. Areola got across to it but couldn't keep it out. Kingsley Coman, another of the second half substitutes, will have an opportunity to keep France in this one. If De Gea can make himself a hero and keep this out, Spain will win the World Cup. Slow walk back across to his line. Kingsley Coman to take now. Gets his right foot on it, and not a bad effort. De Gea didn't really move that much. Fabian, who had an excellent game in the build-up to this one, a chance to restore Spain's advantage in the shootout. Oh, it's not a bad effort. Areola wasn't miles away from it, but it did have a fair bit of venom on it. Who's going to get the opportunity? It's Samuel Umtiti, the centre-back, who at the most recent real-life World Cup kept Australia in the game by basically just punching the ball in the 6-yard box and giving us a chance from the penalty spot. We still lost, but he made me believe for a second. Is he going to make himself a hero this World Cup or a villain if he misses this one? Good strike, to be fair. Absolutely smashed that one low and hard to the left-hand side of the keeper who can't get across in time. Saul, who was fantastic for us in our Atletico Madrid save in the beta, sends the keeper the wrong way to give Spain the advantage again. This is just like, after missing the first two, for them to score 7 consecutive penalties is crazy. N'Golo Kante, who still is a heartbeat of the French national side, still playing quite a bit for Chelsea as well. Getting a bit older now. This potentially will be his last World Cup opportunity from the penalty spot. What can he do? Oh, keeper should have saved that. It was pretty much straight down the middle. Worked its way around him. Mario Hermoso, we're back through to the centre-backs now for Spain. Wraps his left foot around it and he's missed. So France are going to have the opportunity to really turn this one around for the first time in this shootout. They're not playing to stay in it. They're playing to actually win the trophy. It's going to be Hernandez, the left back. Makes a long walk forward. He's going to get the opportunity to wrap his left peg around it. If he can find the finish here, France will be World Cup champions, and they are indeed. So technically, we finished second. We finished behind the World Cup champions, but they go through on penalties after a 0-0 draw. Interesting one there. Very level stat line. 15 shots, 7 on target, 40% of the ball for France. Spain definitely set up to keep possession, whether they were using it well or not. 15 shots, 6 on target for them as well. Torres, the Spanish centre-back, gets the Player of the Match award in a losing effort from him. And definitely looking at the match ratings here, it's a tale of the two defences. Both forward lines just really struggling to break down the attacking. You can see where the subs have come from as well, trying to find the back of the net late in those games. Holy shit, I cannot believe it. Okay, let's go through this first. England remain in second position in the world rankings list. World Cup review. Biggest overachievers, Scotland. Best match was a 2-2 draw between Australia and Paraguay. France are the winners, and I have been sacked by the English FA. Do they not remember a year ago when we won the European Championships? We lost to Spain, the number one team. We lost to France, the number one team in the world, in the quarterfinals. That's just the luck of the draw. Speculation is hotting up as to who will be the person to replace in the mixer, with Burnley manager Sean Dyche seeming the most likely candidate. You've got to be kidding me. You absolutely have to be kidding me. We're currently second in the world. Going into that tournament, we hadn't lost in 25 games, an England record, and they've sacked me because we've gone out at the quarterfinal stage. I don't know what to make of this game anymore. So I guess that brings our one season one to save to an early finish. I would not have thought, after making through to the finals of the European Nation League, after winning the European Championship, after going nearly, what would it have been, 27, 28 games unbeaten, as an unbeaten run in competitive fixtures as England national team manager, 1-0 defeat against France in the quarterfinals is enough to get me sacked. Absolutely mind-boggling. I cannot wrap my head around it. That's the third time I've been sacked in Football Manager 2020. I got sacked by Atletico Madrid after breaking their points total in La Liga and their most games won in a season. I got sacked by New York Red Bulls, sitting second in the conference, over on Twitch in one of our stream saves. And now I've been sacked by England as well. Football Manager 2020 just might not be the game for me. As always though, guys, thank you for continuing to support the channel. Thank you for joining us on this crazy, hectic journey. We'll be back next week. I'm not going to do an episode tomorrow or an episode on Friday. We'll come back on next week and start our second season in the Championship with FC Isle of Man. Happier times, a club that's definitely not going to sack me at any point. But my God, what a finish. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be kept up to date on future videos. If you've got your own suggestions for other season one to saves you want to see, drop it in the comment section below. But as always, I've been Sean and I'm going to go hit the job queue. I'll see you again in the mixer.